Hello, good morning, and welcome to another rendition of Tech Talk with T&E. I am your host, Terry, with my wife, Elizabeth. Welcome. And we are obviously getting, 5 weeks away from SEO spring training. So we're going to do multiples of these, but we're inviting some of the presenters to come on and talk a little bit about who they are, what they're doing, what they think, all that kind of good stuff. If you have any questions, please give them to us. We're happy to answer questions. So again, welcome, Elizabeth. I think you do the, like, share, you know the four things.
You don't know the four things?
Well, like,
as many times as we get. Like, share, follow, subscribe.
There you go. Like, share, follow, subscribe. I just need a sticky note on my monitor. So.
Another one.
Anyways, welcome. Today we have Mr. Dan Kurtz with us and Aaron Gruenke. How do you spell it? Gruenke? Gruenke. Okay, perfect. So welcome, gentlemen. And I think we have Mr. Kato coming also. So we'll see if Brian can make it. Anyways, welcome. Thank you guys for joining us. Give him Elizabeth. All right, Dan, so let's start with you. Tell us a little bit about your stuff or about you and about what you're doing and how we met and spring training and all that good jazz, if you don't mind.
Sure. So wound up meeting you guys probably, 21, 22, something like that.
I think it was Treasure Island, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Treasure Island. So right around there, met at your mastermind at Treasure Island, sat down, talked shop about some of the stuff I was working on. Met you guys, came out to spring training, liked it, loved it. Got to see kind of what it looked like in action. It had been years at that point since I'd been to the conference. In fact, at that point, I think the last marketing conference I went to was Digital Marketer in 2013.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I was not that person at all. Didn't want to go to conferences, didn't want to do any of that stuff. Went to spring training, conveniently changed my mind. Mainly through, content, networking, all that sort of stuff. I've been in SEO. I think this year actually marks the 20th year that I've been doing SEO. So I've been in the space for a while, seen enough stuff. And a lot of my stuff is systems and automations. How do you get your time back? How do you get your team's time back? How do you create things for your business that are going to run in the background, especially now with AI? New things like OpenClaw, Claude Code, all these different systems. How do you leverage them? How do you capitalize on them? How do you hook them into your stuff and make it so that it's, humans in the loop, but with a really, really intelligent back end? So I think that might be one of the talks that I do. There's a couple other options we can kick around, but you guys have seen me before.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody out there watching, if you've seen me present live at any event before, toss out some ideas. I'm more than happy to talk about whatever's going on that maybe I'm overlooking. Yeah,
and Dan will definitely be Tech Day. This is the first year we're actually turning the Tech Day into a full day. Every other year we've always done it in the afternoon, and it's been typically in the afternoon of, maybe Sunday, so after the conference is all over. But we've really decided to emphasize Tech Day this year. Just mainly because everything is changing. I mean, even compared to last year. Last year, I think we all saw the beginning of it, but this year it's on steroids, and it is crazy what's going on and what we can do nowadays. So that's just come to spring training, but definitely come to the Tech Day. The Tech Day is you will not regret the Tech Day. It is going to be a lot of fun. Anyways, thank you, Dan, for coming. I really appreciate it. All right, Aaron, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you're doing, spring training, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so I've been in the internet marketing world since, I guess, about 2013. I started with a side business doing importing and stuff, taught myself the internet marketing, all that kind of stuff. But, I thought I had kind of mastered a lot of the essentials for SEO. And then I went to your first spring training. Was that in 2018 or was that 2019?
2019.
Yeah, so that was the first one. And you know what? I really felt from that event that my skill level went from here to hear in like the matter of 2-3 days. And that really hooked me when I could learn that much that quick. And the fact that you're talking to people who were really of kind of an elite status. They're talking about stuff that you don't even find online. It's not talked about. You know, we're signing the NDAs about some of that top secret stuff that nobody talks about. But also, I really like the networking too. And you know what, coming from when I first went, and you know, being a nobody, and you show up at one of these events, and all of a sudden it's kind of like, well, you're in the circle now. And so some of these people that you see that have a little bit of notoriety in the marketing circles, all of a sudden, you know, you message them and they'll talk to you, and they'll share some different advice and things like that. So just that networking, the knowledge, I found has been invaluable. It's really what keeps me coming back. Every year I always gain a whole lot of value from it, far more than what I pay for it. Yeah. And you know what, it's helped give me direction for my business too. Cause you know, like even here now, like in the last year, spring training last year, I was sitting down at the bar with Herc Magnus, and he got me into vibe coding. He was the guy that got me hooked. He's my crack junkie. I've been coding ever since. And man, in the last year, since last May, I've developed like 15 apps here. 3 here now that I'm pretty well in production and out in the wild. But yeah, so what I'm going to be talking about is, you know, a lot of people are interested in vibe coding these days, but there's a lot of apprehension from people too. Is, what do I create, or how do I get it to market? How do I get it to sell it to be successful? So I'm going to be sharing some few points in how people can get going with vibe coding and actually make something of it instead of just an internal app. How they can actually get it to market and make some money with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, that's you know, I did a Facebook post yesterday. I've been doing it. I got, you know, and I'm an old developer, so I was actually right in the middle of it's been probably 6 months since I touched it, but I was pretty much into an HVAC app for one of my HVAC clients, and this is way before vibe coding. So I was building it between, you know, C++. I hate PHP. And then we started going into just a complete custom WordPress development. Anyways, after about $18,000 from this HVAC guy, just said, let's just blow this off. And I was like, okay. Anyway, so it just stagnant and stalled and everything else. And so I was listening to a podcast. Who's the lady? Meg? What's her name? Anyways, so you know, I was listening to this I was listening to this podcast in the morning, and then she had this guest on that owned Replit. And so this guest was on, and the whole thing of this thing was $500 million business that no one's ever heard of. And so I was like, oh, wow, this is interesting. So he started talking about some of these things moms were doing with their recipes and, you know, all these things people could do. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. So, of course, like everything I do, I jumped in, you know, both feet, body, head, everything all at once. And that was where I kind of found the mistake. So the very first app I did was all in Replit and cost me a fortune. It's still all in Replit, costing me a fortune. And so the second app I built, I started in ChatGPT, and then move it to Replit. That was okay. But then I did it in Claude, and that changed the freaking game. So I just built, I'm going to show it at spring training. I just built probably one of the most incredible audit tools you'll ever see. And basically I just imported everybody else's shit into a system and said, take these pieces out of all these best things, ignore this, and did all this work in Claude. And now this new app I built literally has cost me $197.
We have a Claude convert. Yes.
Yeah. I did it all in Claude. Claude was
Okay,
the
I worked on him because I hear all you guys talking about it, and I'm like, he's like so focused on ChatGPT, and he is a little stubborn shit too. So I'm like, dude, like, why don't you try it? Like, it can't be that bad if everybody else uses it, right? So I got it.
Yeah.
You totally dip your toe in Claude, and then it's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
All right. Then we jump in head first, and you're like, all right.
Well, and I'm still learning. Like I just found out yesterday that Claude's not real good with memory, and
There's
and
ways
you
around
keep
that.
having,
There are definitely ways around that. Are you using asynchronous agents in parallel?
I'm not.
This is one thing we're going to be talking about this at SEO Spring Training.
Oh, by the way, this is Mr. Brian
Nudge,
Kato.
nudge. Hey, what's up, everyone? How's it going? So asynchronous agents in parallel, one of the most amazing things, and I do have to give tip of the hat to Andrew Ansley, one of the other speakers. He was the one that kind of prompted me to go down this little rabbit hole of that. But what's great is, thank you, super nerds. Yes, thanks, Clint. Basically, asynchronous agents in parallel, what it allows you to do is you can create these waves of agents that have their own memory, right? So let's say we have 10 to 20 agents. Usually we go smaller, but we do waves of them, right? So think of it as like the terracotta army, right? Where it's like wave after wave after wave, or like any kind of military action where you've got wave. And then once those guys are done, then the next wave, then the next wave, then the next wave. And what we're able to do with that is each one of these agents has their own context window. So the way that we get around a lot of this is we create the very first thing we do is we create a log file or log.md. It acts as the living source of truth, or a checklist, basically. Think about it in those terms. And what we'll do is we say, okay, start off by creating this checklist. And as you go through it with your memory, again, the way to kind of think about this is that if, let's say I asked you what you had for breakfast today, you could probably answer that pretty easily. You're like, oh yeah, I either had this, or I didn't eat breakfast, or I had a cup of coffee. But if I said, tell me what you had for breakfast on December 15th, 2023, you're like, I don't fucking know. Like, I don't know. What that log.md file does is it's like opening up your calendar, creating a checklist and saying, okay, so this is what I had on this date. This is what I had on this date. This is what I had on this date. And you can query against that. So you're creating a checklist, right? So you can just immediately say, yeah, December, here's the date. Here's what I want to know about it. Boom, got it. So what we'll do is we'll create that, and then we deploy these agents. So it basically says, yeah, I get it, Claude. You're tired. You're exhausted. Go fucking look at your checklist. Tell me exactly what you've been doing, right? And so it can cross-reference that, and then it can start doing it again, what it needs to do. But you're essentially telling it, like, here's the protocol in which you need to follow. If you get lost, confused, or otherwise, go back and look at that.
That's cool. That's awesome. And that's
these are the nuggets that people are gonna learn, right?
I know, exactly. And that's one of the things that I'm still obviously freaking learning these tools. But I started building these things on what will make Solterra better. That's how I originally went into these, so I figured if I can make Solterra better, then maybe somebody else can use this also. And so some of the stuff we've built, has just been like, holy shit, and that's the type of stuff that, we want to make sure that we can come across. I mean, I had a landscape company ask me to build a landscaping app, super cool, no problem. And so, but I think the biggest thing is I've also had people message me and want me to show their stuff. And, and I kind of ask them, I don't do anything without a plan. I think if you guys have ever seen me teach, I plan everything, and my whiteboards and my, digital notebooks and all these things. And a lot of times I see people going down these rabbit holes, and this guy contacted me because he spent like $600 and it's still not working. And I'm like, well, what was your original plan? And he's like, well, I just, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, you need to stop and go back. He was in Lovable, which I admit I've never played with Lovable. I'm pretty addicted to Replit. But I said, you need to take your original freaking idea, put it into Claude, ask freaking Lovable for the files to put into Claude, have Claude completely freaking look at what you've already built and have it rebuild and then put it back into Lovable. And so, that type of stuff is where I think you need to be a little bit, more proactive than like, oh shit, I'm spending all this money and it still don't work. It's like, and constantly be telling it to check for holes for security. Don't wait for this type of stuff for the very end. You need to make sure this thing's coming right out of the gate as secure as humanly possible.
Well, we've seen that with like OpenClaw, Moltbot, whatever the newest name is that they're calling that, right? Where everyone jumped on that. And then they're like, oh shit, your API keys are exposed to the world. It's probably a bad thing, right? Small details.
Well, and also, like Chris had mentioned, I'm going to pop this comment back up, is to create a master JSON file that's schema-driven of everything. That is right up your alley, Terry. Like, dude.
Oh, yeah, totally. And we definitely keep that too. And, one of the things I like about Replit is because I can download that MD file, whenever I need to after each long session or whatever.
Yep.
But again, it's just, I think really, people ask me, where should I start? And I'm like, figure out where your bottlenecks are. What drives you crazy? I mean, our biggest bottleneck in Solterra was images. So I built this massive freaking image app that uses Nano Banana and it uses, Flex Pro. It uses all these different image building tools, and we don't have a bottleneck anymore with images. And the images literally cost me 0.03 cents per image. That's so, awesome. It's like, duh.
That's awesome.
Yeah, one of the things that I try to tell people too when they're thinking about, well, what do I build? Is everybody thinks that they have to be an expert in everything that they build. But now with the AIs know everything. So if you have an idea, I always tell people, listen to what people are telling you, man. If they're saying, if you had an app that would do this, this, and this, you'd have a killer app. Well, you know what? I'm taking notes. Because if there's someone in the industry that you're talking to realizes that they need something, there's a good opportunity for something to build. And yeah, sure, you need to do a little bit of investigation, a little bit more research, but the AI, you give it some ideas and it'll take off running to build something that actually is something that is useful to maybe not to yourself if you're not into crypto or you're not into health and things like that, but it'll build whatever you want just with a few ideas.
Yeah, exactly. And also train it to stay in its lane, because it will drift off. And now your project, my second project I ever built, I have now repieced it because it got way too freaking big. Like, I'm not building a SEMrush here.
Yeah.
But, and take it one step further and say, hey, why don't we look and see what's frustrating? We're huge high level users at Solterra, but there's obviously things that high level could do a lot better. And so we built that out, the email marketing part of high level is sad at best because it just uses Mailgun. And so I built one that'll use SendGrid, it'll use Mailgun, it'll use all kinds of different variables, so, again, look and see your processes and figure out where your bottlenecks are, figuring out, hey, and ask Claude, can I automate this? And it'll tell you, heck yeah, or, to a point, but, it's, I don't know. I said at the beginning of the thing at this podcast is like, this is probably the most fun I've had in this industry right now. I was becoming very stagnant. I was becoming, oh shit, another plumber, just like, but now it's just like I work on client stuff till 3 p.m. and then I'm freaking in my development stage, having a blast. So
100%.
Yeah.
Again, with doing the vibe coding, it's you're playing with Lego. You're limitless with just ideas.
Yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with that right now. So speaking to the vibe coding piece and finding a problem, you guys all know I've got a lot of data that I've got access to as far as consumer data, behavior data, people, stuff like that. And the biggest problem that I come across, and you guys have heard it from me before, is a lot of people don't know what to do with it. So I took it, started vibe coding and reverse engineered it. So now we've got a full outbound marketing system built around the data. So you plug in your website, what services you offer, your ideal client avatar, and what one of their sites looks like. And it goes and reverse engineers all the messaging, all the social media posts, all the blog posts you need out there, what your funnel has to contain. It'll develop the pages for it, and it'll start doing outbound email, direct message, LinkedIn messaging, and AI voice calling in order to do appointment setting, all based on where they are in their journey, based on their browsing behavior. So like completely enabled the whole way down. I'm doing some testing with it right now. I'm booking myself 65% of the time we send out emails.
So sick.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, the first time I met Dan at Treasure Island at one of our masterminds, he came up to me. I didn't know who he was. He goes, "Hey, can I show you something?" I was like, "Sure." And so he showed me this pixel. And you got to remember, this was 7 years ago, or about 5 years, 4 or 5 years ago. It was before pre-COVID.
No, it was after COVID.
No, Treasure Island? Was it after COVID?
It was 21, I think, yeah.
Yeah,
It's that whole time is like fuzzy, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of around that time.
Yeah. So anyways, he showed me this pixel that he attaches to a website and all the data that it collects. And I was just like, holy shit. And I was using something like this at a time. I can't remember the name of it, but I had a pixel in there and I would just get a report of who visited my website. It really wasn't anything that I could do with it, except it gave me an email if I wanted to manually email somebody. But I'll never forget, I saw that Penn State was on my website for like 45 minutes, with this other tool. And I sent the guy an email. I was like, "Hey, I noticed you're on our website. You went to blah, 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 blah." And he threw me back and he goes, "This is some scary shit, dude." And that's all he said. And I was like, okay, well, that maybe wasn't the best lead source right there. But anyways, it's amazing. And, I built one also, but a really basic generic one, just because of basically for retargeting. That's all I'm doing it for. But the amount of data that, the pixel that Dan does and the stuff, he showed it on stage at one of the spring trainings, and all you could hear was silence in the room. It was just like, holy shit.
Well, silence except for Clint.
Yeah.
Nerds.
But no, it's this is the type of stuff that we get into on Tech Day. So Tech Day is not recorded. Tech Day is a day to get in and people just start digging in and sharing. And so, I'm actually going to be showing you, we're going to build an app live during Tech Day. And I've already got Claude and everything already prepared what we're going to do. It's not going to be a real big fancy thing, but it's going to show you how easy it is to do and how inexpensive it can be. And it also can, drain your bank account. So we're going to talk a little bit about that too. Right. So, but no, that's awesome, Dan. That's freaking, Dan's always kind of freaked me out as far as the data he collects. I was like, hey, that's Dan. There it is right there.
I really like, Terry, how SEO Spring Training has really evolved. From the first ones, it was all about SEO. Actually, the first couple of events, and now over the last few years, you've added in about agency building and now AI and automations and all these things. So it's really evolving with the industry. It's not just like, oh, it's all SEO and this is what you do. So it's not a stale event rehashing the same stuff.
Well, and I think that's important. It's always been Elizabeth's and I's goal to provide value. And, we've all been to events that, you go to and you meet up with some people, but then you look back and you say, wow, was it really worth this much money? And, that's one of the biggest things. We start with the venue. you know, I mean, the venue has to be set up for people to have networking and fun. And that's the stuff where people come to live conference for, you know. So sure, you're going to learn a lot. You're going to have some stuff you're going to be able to implement right away. But I'll tell you, the friends that you make and the partnerships that I've seen grow, you know, spring training is responsible for a lot of big partnerships out there right now. And you only get that by meeting people and getting into having a drink or having dinner and, you know, sharing ideas. And, you know, that's where the real, I mean, you can't even put a dollar amount on that value, you know. So I've had people tell me that the $5,000 they spent, they made over $100K in 6 months, you know. So that's the type of stuff that we really pay attention to and want to bring, which is one of the biggest reasons we started doing the afternoon breakouts, which I think really revolutionized everything, you know. You know, Elizabeth,
Well,
you want to talk about your favorite tagline?
Also, one of the things that was important to us is like we didn't want speakers to come and give us a PowerPoint presentation from 5-8 years ago. Like, we don't want something that's not relevant for what's, I mean, you've all been to those conferences, right? You know, somebody who is like reliving their glory days of this worked one time, but we're all kind of testers and half hackers, you know, like what works, what doesn't work. What can we bend to make work, right? Right, Dan?
Yeah.
Poke the system. Ooh, it did that over here. What about that?
How much voltage can you run through the circuits before they blow, you know?
Right?
Yeah, for sure. And I just think, you know, but I think you're right, Aaron, that this year especially is the one that we're really seeing a big shift, because SEO is still the most important thing to even show up. And how do I show up in AI overviews? You do really good SEO. That's how you show up in AI overviews, you know. But the other ways to generate leads for clients and, you know, becoming more of an attachment to a client, that you're not just the SEO guy, but, you know, you're a guy that can help them build better efficiencies, build models, build things for their businesses that'll actually become growing. And now it doesn't really matter. So, you know, the shift is coming, you know, the shift is here, and the breakout rooms are set up that way. So you can go in here and choose your own adventure, as Elizabeth likes to say. I think we need to put that on a shirt this year.
I think it might be trademarked. So like, be careful throwing that out there.
Yeah, we don't want to get into that. You know, but the cool thing is that, you know, you don't just sit in one big room for 3 days and just get hammered on and hammered on and hammered on. So, you know, I didn't like that. You know, actually, I used to not go to events that were 3 days. I like the 2-day events, because the 3 days got to be a little mind numbing by the end. And, you know, I thought, you know, the breakout rooms breaks all that up, you know, so.
And I would just reiterate what you were saying about the networking events. I distinctly remember last year, there were a bunch of us who were sitting around kind of in the commons area, you know, the kind of just right outside, you know, all of us hanging out. And I was looking around. Marty and I were actually hanging out. We're talking with each other and just talking through some issues with some people. Literally that conversation, if you were to hire all of us individually that were in this conversation, easily $1 million consult. And it's just that the power of that in-person networking is well worth the price of admission, because you actually can be like, you know, hey, Aaron, what are your thoughts about this? Dan, have you ever seen this before? And just the ability to actually talk with people. And that's what I love about spring training, is that there's this camaraderie around it where the speakers literally get to hang out. I can remember one of the first times that I'd ever gone to one of these, you know, kind of these live events. And all of a sudden I'm hanging out with people that I've been following for years. Right. And it's like, oh shit, I get to hang out with this person. I get to hang out with this person. I can ask them questions. I've been to larger conferences, TNC, or some of these other events where it's like you get the 100% of like, they're on stage, you get the, okay, here's their pitch deck, here's the slides and all that. And then they run off and go to their room, and you never see them the rest of the conference. And like, that's one of the beautiful parts about spring training, is that you actually get to sit and talk with people. You get to see what they're doing in their agency, and truth be told, and I know all of us have said this before, that's the value. Like, if nothing else, that's the price of admission. The gold nuggets that you're going to pull from those conversations, infinitely more valuable than just about anything I've ever learned, like sitting down watching a slide deck.
Oh, absolutely. Like 100%. So to add on to that,
absolutely. And what I really like is, most of us were all testers, and we're sharing these tests. If individually we were all to run each of these tests, it would take us, years. But here now we have a pool, 30, 40 people all running our own tests and sharing that data. That's invaluable.
Yeah. The thing that I like about this event, a couple things, somebody who started recently going to events only a couple of years ago, again, number one, there's no pitches. Everybody that's there is there, to talk about what they've done. They share it. You meet them at the bar later. Like Brian said, everybody's there. The other thing that I found, and I started logging this, every time I've been to spring training, something in my business when I have gone home has 3 to 5 to 10x. So anything that you wind up doing, and it's not always revenue, there's some, everybody's like, what's the bottom line metric? There is none. It's getting your time back. It's figuring out a process that shortcuts A to Z, all that stuff. But spring training is that flywheel that you're missing in your business. It's you sit down and you have those conversations, and everybody in their own right is a planet or a sun, depending on how you want to look at it. And they will pull you into their orbit and lock you in and have those conversations, like the one that we had with Marty, Brian, that you're talking about. And just sit there and just spin up ideas and spitball what we've done or things we've seen. And, a lot of the stuff we talked about in that conversation was wild. But
it was wild, wasn't it?
It was just so much. Everybody's just like, oh, yeah, here's this thing that happened that, like, you would never say on stage. But, like, here's something that happened. And, the 6 people that were there are like, oh, shit, yeah, that makes sense. And then now everybody's got that little nugget they can stick in their pocket for later. But I go back to the room at the end of the night and I just start jotting down notes from the conversations I've had and just save them. I take those home, implement 3 or 4 of them. 2-3 months later, I've multiplied some facet of my business.
Yeah, that's awesome. A little bit of history of Mr. Marty Marion. Marty messaged me. I didn't even know who he was. And he said, hey, can I interview you? I'm interested in all the schema stuff you're doing. And I barely just started talking about schema then. And I said, sure. And so after about an hour and a half, I asked Marty, I said, hey, we're getting ready to have this, little event in, Tempe, Arizona. Would you like to come and speak? And we had never done this type of event. We'd done it in real estate, but not in this industry. And he said, sure. And so anyway, we came out and I invited, Clint was there, their whole parent was there. There's a whole bunch of people. I think it was about only like 40 people total. But Marty came on stage and talked about what Marty does. And one of the things that we try to do as hosts, especially me, is I like to put people on stage that people don't really know much about, but also provide that holy shit moment. And after Marty got done, Clint came up to me and goes, holy shit, where did you find him? And that was the start of Marty Marion. Marty has since almost opened up every single event we've ever done, including masterminds. This year, he's definitely going to open it. But one of the coolest things, he messaged the group yesterday, he's actually going to put on a free 90-minute workshop for every person that buys a ticket. He charges $1,500 per person for this alone, and he's going to provide it to everybody at spring training that buys a ticket and it's client acquisition for agencies and consultants. And the way he goes about and teaches you how to not only get clients, retain clients, improve clients. It's not your keyword thing. So, but the biggest thing that I can tell you was what Marty is one of these people in the industry that, you talk about commands attention. That's Marty. The stuff he says and the stuff he does. Just wrote a brand new book. I was blessed enough to get one. He'll have some at the event at spring training. There he is right there. Welcome, Marty. But the biggest thing I can tell you, these are the type of people that we introduce you to, people that will make you shake your head and go, man, this isn't about a different way to do keyword research. This isn't about a different way to, write content. This is what things that will really change you and your clients in whichever direction you want to go. We're going to be able to hand it to you on a silver platter. So thank you, Marty, for offering to do that masterclass. It'll be sometime the first couple weeks in May. We typically do things for the first 2 or 3 months after the event through the private Facebook group, so it keeps on going. But thank you, Marty, for that. That's really, really generous of you to offer that to us. That's awesome. So, perfect. All right, so getting into it a little bit, talking about vibe coding and talking about stuff. Well, okay. I sat there, and Elizabeth and I have done many of these things, and we always have these meetings afterwards to talk about, okay, what was great, what was shit, what can we do better, how can we be more efficient and everything else. Last year it was a new venue, and it was the breakout rooms were in 2 different upstairs and downstairs, and so it's kind of a weird way to do things. Plus this new venue has literally 40 restaurant bars right around the corner of this place. So I built an app.
I wanted an app. We've looked at other apps and other conference apps, and it wasn't the right thing for us, and it was expensive, and so sorry, we need our own thing.
Yep, exactly. So this app everybody's going to have access to, including the digital. We're doing the digital event this year also, not digital, live stream. So the live stream people will also have this app. It won't look like this because you don't need the venue map and stuff like that. But this app, you're going to be able to really not just choose your own adventure. You're going to be able to plan your days, so to speak. So, all the schedules are in here. They're not quite up to date. I'll have them up to date by the weekend. You'll be able to chat. You'll be able to chat in the AI automation room. You'll be able to chat to the general public, public or whatever. The biggest thing that I am about these events is if you come to these events or my event or our event with a problem or a challenge, I will help you fix it. I've always said that. So, don't go away with your questions or your challenge not being answered, please. Okay. Has a list of speakers here. You can even, assign a session. So you can say, yep, I want to go see Aaron, so Aaron's schedule will be up here and, whichever room he's in at whatever times, and you can go ahead and select that and add that to your adventure. There's a huge sponsor area here. The cool thing about the sponsor area is you'll be able to claim deals and perks. There's going to be a bunch of people offering a bunch of stuff. So this will be in here for anybody that wants to offer something. Some of the presenters are offering stuff. So this will all be available for you guys to claim and take advantage of. We have the venue map in here now. So now we'll be able to, tell you where everything's are at. This isn't quite finished yet, obviously, because I'm still going through the seats. We're still talking to the hotel. I'm trying to get one room over another, but this will be all up to date. List of all the attendees. You're going to be able to hide yourself from this or show yourself. You're going to be able to show your email, your website, whatever you want to show, you're going to be able to show. Whatever you want to hide, you're going to be able to hide. This isn't anything. I want you to feel comfortable with this stuff. Okay. So, all this stuff, you're going to be able to go in and edit your own profile, so to speak. Media, this would be a place that we get to upload media. You can take pictures.
Share your photos.
Share your photos.
Show us what you're doing. Have fun.
Exactly. And this is also keyed into a little contest that we do. The person that uploads the most videos and photos also gets a little prize at the end. Networking, this is where we can plan meetups. So if you're going to have, hey, I'm doing Marty Marion's going to be down at the pool, in a Speedo, freaking, come down and spend some time, so this will be all the stuff that you'll be able to schedule meetups and, invite people to.
Photos or it didn't happen.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I don't want photos from those. No pool photos. So the Explore Chandler area, this is the main reason I wanted to build this, is because I saw the struggles of people trying to find out where to go. Even though it's all right there, it's kind of all consuming. So I built a system that you can do. You can, which ones take reservations, which ones Elizabeth and I and Skylar and Alice pick. But you can schedule reservations. You can freaking invite people to that reservation. So you can schedule, hey guys, I got a reservation for 10, and so all this stuff is automated now. So trying to make sure that we can do some stuff. Documents. So at every single conference, we have to have certain documents signed, and we always have a line. We're doing that online this year. Just sign the shit online, come in, get your badge, get your swag bag, and then we don't have a problem there anymore.
Well, we're tech people. We should be a little more tech savvy than have you sign a piece of paper.
Totally, exactly. So, but this is the type of stuff that you get to build. This is the type of stuff that we're gonna be able to talk about and say, hey, again, this was something we've done. I've seen many apps. We were gonna buy one last year. It was gonna basically be $1,500, and then 500, between $350 and $500 a month. And I'm like, well, shit, I built this for $200. So, but that's the things that we want to make sure that we're providing. We want you guys to have this thing will actually download into your phone. Hey, do you want to save this as an app? Yeah. So it's not actually in the app store, but you can save it as an app, which is really cool. But this is the type of stuff that we wanted to make sure that, we can come in and we can say, hey, we have these different tools. We have these different offers from sponsors. Some of these sponsor offers are just killer, especially some of these people that are coming in. And if you don't know me very well, you'll find out real quick. I don't let you sponsor unless your shit works. That's always been my rule. So, and I've had people that want to sponsor and I'm like, I don't know you, but it's all about value. It's all about making sure that you can come here, get your questions answered. What are you interested in? What haven't you even thought about? That's my favorite freaking thing. And so
get involved. I think that's probably the biggest thing that I can give anyone that's considering this event or that's going to be coming to the event. Get involved. Don't be a wallflower. Don't just if there's someone that you want to meet at this particular event, talk to Terry, talk to Elizabeth, talk to myself, talk to any one of us on this call here, right? Aaron, Dan, Clint, talk to any one of them and be like, hey, I'd really like to meet so-and-so. Get involved, make the most out of this trip because, you're in town. This is where the magic happens. As you were mentioning, as far as business connections, arguably spring training is one of the events that I have made the most business connections, Dan's in my Rolodex. Terry, Elizabeth, you guys are in my Rolodex. Aaron, I can reach out to you at any time. And I'm like, hey, I'm having this issue, guys. Have you ever seen this? Or what are your thoughts on this? Your network is your net worth. This hands down. If you get involved, I guarantee, and I would even put money on this, that if you can't improve your standing within the industry on this, there is something fundamentally that you are doing wrong. This event, if you're actually involved, not sitting on the sidelines, but you are involved, it will change the way you do business.
100%.
Yeah. I agree, Brian. And what I found is when we're seeing all these real action takers, in the groups, and you almost think that, they're celebrity status. Are they going to even want to talk to me? But you know what? You get in the room there, everybody's so down to earth and willing to share. That is.
They want to hang out. They want to chat with you.
Absolutely, and that's what's really great is they're not an elite. They're one of us, and they want to help. They want to share. Like that for me. When Terry asked me to come and speak, I'm like, awesome. I love teaching. That's one of my things. I've had a gig on Legit. Chris is going to kill me for calling it a gig. I have had a service on Legit for last years consulting, and that's probably one of the things I love the most is just being able to share knowledge with people and help them overcome their problems.
Yeah,
everybody that at the event is like that.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because we're all kind of introverts and we all have our tunnel vision. And so we don't always socialize. I might bite. Yeah. Mama bear has claws, and sometimes they do come out. But for the most part, it's nice to find your tribe, find people that get you. And we may be the island of misfit toys, but we're all here together, and like we all sync up, and it's just a really fun and exciting thing for the conference. I think.
100%. Yeah, and then, I mean, I just, I love have had it happen a few times, but people come up and said, "Hey, can you introduce me to Clint?" I'm like, "He's right there." Throw something at him.
Yeah, talk about somebody that might bite, right?
He brings his dog, so that's good.
Yeah, that's fine. You just got to bait him with good cigars. He'll talk to you all night.
Definitely, but it is something we are having a live stream this year, which we didn't do last year. I'll be honest with you guys. As a host of an event, live stream's a pain in the ass, because you're on so many different variables that you can't control. Hotel internet. We're gonna have backups this year, but it's always the one thing that I'm like, okay, everything goes well, make it the live stream. But we are going to offer that this year. And then, just because you guys really need to see what's happening in this industry. If you don't follow me and Brian and Dan and some of these Aaron and some of the other people to see what's happening and what they're doing, it's revolutionizing. It's, I still get people messaging me. I still get people coming to my class that are still in that basic SEO realm. And I'm like, if you're going to learn stuff nowadays, you need to learn a wider swath of stuff, especially at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you learn just the basics at the beginning, you're already starting so far behind. So you kind of need to ramp up and get to things faster and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, so I have questions. Like, there's a lot of people out there that maybe haven't done as much with AI and with the vibe coding, and like, I know absolutely now is the time to start. Whether that time is right now or 2 weeks from now, like, you have to start. Like, what is your advice? Probably Brian and Dan, like, you guys are ear deep into it. What is your advice for somebody that maybe is a little intimidated and hasn't really started?
My advice on that would be nothing beats a fail but a try, right? Like, you have to just like dip your toe in, start playing around. Don't be afraid to break stuff. And I think that for me personally, that's been one of the things that has really helped my process in general. Is like, you see all of us, and we're like, on social, we're posting these things. It's like this perfect photo, just like that. Like, look at that nice rank, boost in rank. Look at all this. You don't see the 100 times that I tried and that it's like, well, that sucked. That didn't work the way I thought it was. Oh, that's serendipitous. That was kind of cool. Let's test that again. Ooh, interesting. Found something new. Test it again. Wow, that actually really works. Here, we're going to implement that into our system. To me, being able to try it and to be okay with failure, I think that that's a really important thing. I know Dan and I have talked a lot about this in the past as well, but like, it surprises me, anyone that is getting involved in the industry, whether you're doing like content, whether you're doing link building, it doesn't matter what you're doing, anything related to marketing in and of itself, I am just flabbergasted that people do not have test sites that they can literally just go fuck around with, like day in and day out, right? I'm surprised that like people don't have this. And I mean, like, go to Namecheap, go buy a stupid domain, break it apart from your agency, do something like that, but have something that you can like try and go break it. And then if you do manage to break it, which is very rare from what I've seen recently, there are some interesting ones. And I am more than happy, like, hit me up at spring training. I will tell you about how I am blacklisted now. Happy to talk about that one. That's a really fun one. But there are some very interesting things that you can see, and that if you're able to get it to that point, what can you do to resolve it, right? You're going to be infinitely a better SEO, a better marketer, if you can take something and be like, let's test that, let's try it. That worked, or no, that didn't. If you have that sandbox and that playground that you can actually do your testing with, I guarantee you're going to be a much better marketer.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, testing's my favorite part.
Yeah.
And please don't test on client sites.
No, absolutely. And that's the whole thing. It's like having a test site. You are able to actually test it away from your clients, make sure that like, okay, well, yeah, we can see that this works, this doesn't, but you're not like clients are trying to put food on their table. They're trying to keep the lights on, right? The thing is if you're testing on theirs, you're really doing them a disservice. Like, just don't do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
And I think one of the things that I love about like our speakers, I feel like are our friends. It's not like a business transaction. Like, I know I can call you guys, and I have. Oh my God, Clint, can you stop?
we got to tell the Clint story at the first spring training.
Hold on first. Like, I do want to say that like I love you guys as people, as humans. But one of the things that I value is that you guys have a level of integrity. Like you said, don't test on client sites. You're doing them a disservice. Like, you guys have a high level of integrity, not to hurt people. And I think that alignment fits so well with Terry and I and what we're trying to do and what we're trying to promote in the industry, that I just love and appreciate you guys for it.
Aw.
So,
yeah.
How is it that the Gen Z kids do it? It's some like weird, like, I don't know.
Something I don't know. I'm too old. I do the whole
weirdos. It's that.
Well, they got to make everything more complex, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Are you throwing signs? Is this what?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, and it's funny because Clint mentioned this too. Is like, Solterra site. Actually, my site has been a massive freaking test site for me for years. Just because it's a high authority site and I can see things much quicker. But then also I see my mistakes last longer. So that's another thing too. So anyways, the first time Clint spoke in the 2019 spring training, he did some black hat crap and turned my website into a porn site.
Yeah, I was ready to fight him for that one.
I was just like, and that was his presentation. And I was like, dude, really? You did that to my site? Put it back. But yeah, that was, we do have a lot of fun, and we do have people in this network that, are all the way from, oh shit, look out what you're doing, to, we'll help you and do anything for you type of thing. So, but, if you're interested in getting into that little gray, little black, it's there. If you like to stay in the green, where most of us stay, that's all. The green hat's where it's at.
Regardless of what level where anybody's at when they come to the event, they're going to leave definitely a lot higher skill level. I like a nice statement that I saw online, that you have to suck at something before you get good at it. So now's the time, start sucking at everything, because you need to be testing, you need to be growing in your knowledge, and this is really the ramp to take you there really quick.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. I'm actually gonna be teaching on page, so going back to the basics.
Yeah, if you don't sharpen your axe at spring training, it's because you had the wrong end of the axe on the grindstone. Like, I come out of there with something every single time. Like, most of the stuff I talk about is fairly nerdy and a little bit lofty for some folks. I've heard that complaint a few times, but like, everybody, there's something for everybody, right? Like, I'll go and I'll sit in on like Herc's thing from last year and learn something I had never known before. I've known Herc since 2013. Like, there's just things that you never know you're going to pick up. And so the networking piece, definitely pick like 5 people you want to talk to and then go talk to them.
And have like 1 or 2 questions for them, like before you get to the event. Like, I want to talk to Terry about like your silo structures, or I want to learn a little bit more about how what are your thoughts on this particular component, right? Have a couple questions that you have kind of pre-populated for people and be like, hey, Dan, I want to ask you about this, right? Mm-hmm. And like have those kind of things kind of pre-queued up. That way, when you do talk to them, it's like, let's go ahead. Here's a table. Let's go sit down. Let's chat. Right.
Yeah. I mean, we're
that's you, Brian. You're always ready to dig in at any time, at any event. You have your laptop and you're like, let's go.
It's like, I'll have my bag, right?
Yeah, I'm waiting for him to get one of those Merlino freaking flip phones. So he goes, I'll just show you on my phone.
If only, well, actually, no, I did install Kali Linux on my phone. So yes, I could probably show you on my phone.
Yeah, it's funny.
The little hackers that are tapping into satellites right off of their cell phone.
Oh, so one of the funniest ones was when I think it was Merlino. Craig Campbell was at one of them, and like we're having the whole, introduction to people, and Campbell goes over to, he had one of these, the watches that's like it looks like it has like antennas and stuff on that, and he goes over to Merlino and he's like, so I own all your GMBs now. And Merlino about lost his mind. He's like, Kato, come here. Can he do that? And I was like, and Craig and I are kind of, like wink, wink. I was like, oh, Craig, you didn't pull that out, did you? Oh, you're so screwed, Mike. Like, I'm sorry. It was like that's the kind of fun, we have a good time. It's a blast.
Yeah
100%.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
All right, we're almost wrapping up here. So again, come to spring training. It's I tell people all the time, it's if you come here and regret it, I'll give you your money friggin' back. I'm not going to friggin' say that, but you also have to come and not just sit in your freaking hotel room too. So, come and have fun, introvert or not. I'm a huge introvert, but I like to spend time with people, and, and this event will do that, alcohol flowing, food flowing, fun flowing. And it's
conversations at 11, like
exactly. Yeah. Conversations that are crazy. There's people
have been out there till like 2 a.m. still talking it up.
Well, I was going to say, last year I actually got up in the middle of the night and I needed to go to my car, and I was like, dang, you guys are still up. It's like 2 a.m. and there was like 15 of them around a table, and that's like, that's what it is. That's what you do. So there are speaker coupon codes out there on Facebook and LinkedIn. If you want to find them, ask your favorite speaker what their coupon code is. I'm sure they're happy to give it to you. And, if you can't make the live event, get the live stream. But here's the disclaimer. I got 2 disclaimers before we leave. One, the live stream is limited. I can't have 600 freaking people hitting the hotel internet. And then number 2 is the hotel rate. The room blocks do expire. Okay. And they fill up. So Elizabeth really worked her butt off again to get you guys the best hotel rate, just like last year. I don't even think it went up. And, but you have to get it in the room block. So even if you haven't scheduled your flights and all that stuff, if you want to wait, depending on what's happening with oil and all that crap, get your hotel rooms and get those locked in at that. Otherwise, I think it's like 50 more a night or something. So it'll change you. It'll save you a lot of money. So anything else, gentlemen and ladies?
I was going to say, even if you're seeing this and you're not in the SEO space, I know it says SEO spring training. If you are doing any kind of marketing whatsoever, and you want to meet the people that are constantly trying to break down the barriers between whatever algorithm it is, because it's more than just one engine now, right? We've got Google, we've got all these AI engines, we've got vibe coded stuff. There's so many different things that you can, but everybody that's there can knock down or open some door for you. So if you're seeing this and you're browsing into the other sites this is being streamed on, it's not just SEO. If you do anything that involves a computer and getting somebody revenue, you should be here.
Yeah, 100%, definitely. And just remember too, it's super, super important to come with a plan. If you don't have a plan, just come to have fun, and you'll end up getting a plan, kind of almost guarantee. Marty, you don't need to worry about anything there. We got you. But the biggest thing is you just want to make sure that just when you come to these events, just expect that you're coming for a specific reason and purpose to improve whatever area you're struggling in or whatever area you want to move into. This will be the last year. This will be the URL. We actually are changing that just because of what Dan just said. It's no longer about SEO. It's a true digital marketing conference. So SEO just happens to be a huge part of it. And I think it's still going to be a huge part of it next year and every year afterwards. You still have to optimize in order to get found and get read. I don't think that's ever going to change right now. So,
yeah. And it's a nice venue, Terry. You have the nice weather and everything. Me coming from the north, it's a nice getaway. It's a tax write-off. So I come with my wife. My wife's not into marketing, but she sits around the pool. She goes shopping, and I'm at the event. We have a great time together. We come for the week, even though the event's 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
She does her thing. I do my thing. We get together in the evening, and we enjoy it.
Yep. And a lot of people do the Arizona thing. They go to the Grand Canyon. They go down to Tombstone and Bisbee. And, there's a lot of stuff to do here. There's no doubt. So, yeah, make it a trip, road trip, whatever you want to do. We do have a lot of people that bring families. It's amazing how many people do that. So one of that is because we encourage wives to come and, be a part of stuff. So. And there's only a few, I think there's 2 VIP tickets left. So VIP is another one that we're limited to just because of the VIP event and the VIP dinner. So it's going to be awesome, man. You guys are going to freak out when you see this event that we're going to do this year. Anyways, thank you everybody for joining us. Let me see, like, share, subscribe.
Ring that bell.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you can't remember? Oh my God.
I'm putting it on a sticky note, I promise.
Highly doubtful. Like, subscribe, share, and follow.
Yeah, see, I just forgot share. That's all. So
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us, and we will be doing a couple of these every week now, going up until the event. So we'll still do our regular Monday ones, but we're going to be bringing on other presenters and other things that we're going to talk about leading up to spring training, the actual event, which starts May 1st. Hope to see everybody there. It's going to be a lot of fun, and bring your stuff. We're ready. Thanks, everybody.
Cool.
Okay. All right. Bye.